Good afternoon. I won't take too much of your time. It's a great honor for me to introduce our governor, Governor Rick Scott.
Because I was introduced, so I had the distinct honor of introducing your Lieutenant Governor, Jennifer Carroll. She can dance and sing, and I can't. So, well, first thing I want to say is I'm very appreciative of all your hard work. I know that you, over the years, have had an unbelievable impact on our state and continue to have an impact on our state. And your efforts every day, whether it's with the highways or rails or ports, are really helping create jobs. And you're helping make sure this is the state is going to be the job creator over the next 20 and 30 years. So, as you know, I ran on a campaign of getting the state back to work, and it's trying to focus on how we spend all of our dollars, because, you know, I can tell you, if you anybody run for office? Okay, yeah, okay. Well, when you run for office, nobody says, I want to give you more tax dollars. I mean, at least I didn't find anybody. They didn't come in my rallies or anything. So what they think is we have enough money in state government. They want us to spend it better, and they need jobs. I mean, there's over 1 million people without a job right now. So, I put out a specific campaign, and it's just a plan to get our state back to work. It's reducing the size of the state budget. It's giving tax breaks, not tax breaks, really reducing taxes for business. So, the way I think about it is we're competing with 49 other states and a few other countries, because 20 years ago people weren't comfortable investing in other countries. Today they are, whether it's India, China, Brazil, Panama, Colombia, even places in Africa. And so we're competing for the dollar. We're competing for their investment dollars. And so if we're a worse place for them to get a return, then they're not going to invest here. And so that's where our focus is reduce the business tax that gives people another reason to invest here. On top of that, we've got to fix property taxes, we've got to fix citizens insurance, we've got a few things that we've gotten ourselves in a position that we've got to fix. And so that's what we're trying to do every day. So if you're a high-speed rail enthusiast, I'm not your best friend today, because I didn't keep that going last week. But one thing we got to do, and you get to do it, is make sure that Miami's ready for the Panama Canal expansion. So thank you very much for doing that, because that sends a message that we're open for business. It sends a message to the other ports on the East Coast. It sends a message to shippers around the world that Florida is going to be a state that is going to be a place that people can build their shipping destinations, and we'll get a lot more traffic through here. And it's also going to create 33,000 permanent jobs. So those are the things that we're working on. As you know, the first thing I did was put out an executive order to freeze regulation. And I think most people were shocked that there were 900 regulations about to go into effect, or in the process of going into effect. And we're trying to review contracts just to make sure the dollars are spent well. So I think sure all those things change your job a little bit. So we're trying to do things as quickly as we can, but really just focus on jobs. So Jennifer's going to say a couple things, but and then we can answer some questions. But I just want to let you know that people in the state are very appreciative of the Department of Transportation. You do a great job. I know that expectations are always pretty high, and probably all you hear is the negatives. But traveling the state. Now, if your name was DCA in the campaign, people complained a lot about DCA. Nobody complained about the Department of Transportation. I can't remember one example, because you have a reputation of doing the right things and working hard and being responsive. I'm sure, like everything else, we can always do better, but you have a great reputation. So thank you very much. So I'm sure Jennifer wants to say something.
Sure, Governor. Thank you, Governor. First of all, from the Governor and I, we truly appreciate everything that you guys do. It's a juggling act, dealing with the MPOs and the TPOs and everyone else who wants a good road project in their area and their bridges taken care of. But one thing that the Governor and I do on a daily basis is contact companies outside of the state of Florida, as well as companies in the state of Florida, to see what are their needs, what will entice and encourage them to come to the state of Florida. And one of the things that they want is to be able to get their goods in and out as quickly as possible. Time is money. So if the roadways and the infrastructure is not there to support that, and to support their products coming in, that's going to be very difficult. So it's really key that the entire state grow as a whole, looking at what's the best for each particular region, because as we know, what may be needed in Suwannee County may not be needed in Duval County, like an outer beltway. So, have to put that shameless plug in there.
I've tried to explain to Jennifer that she doesn't represent Jacksonville anymore. She's only 2 months into the job and she really hasn't figured that out yet, but I'm still working on it.
So to that end, we thank you very much for putting all the pieces together to truly grow this state as the #1 economic development state for all companies to look at Florida to see that #1, we have a great workforce. #2, we have the infrastructure to support that. #3, we have a willing participant like the governor and I to make that happen. So I appreciate it.
Thank you, Jim. Okay, let me introduce two people. First, Carrie Rourke would stand up. Carrie is my Deputy Chief of Staff and is responsible for working with the Department of Transportation. And Francis Gibbs, this is your first day as the Chief of Staff. So I can try to answer, or Jennifer can try to answer any questions. If you have questions about Jacksonville, I'm sure Jennifer will answer those. After the first question, it gets easy. Yes, sir. You want me to read it? This will be like the campaign. I'll tell you what, you run for office, the way the campaign works is your opponent has a mean person at the back and always asks you the question you really don't want to answer.
In a typical private sector 401k plan, employees have the choice to participate. You proposed that the state will contribute the equivalent of 4% of an employee's salary towards his retirement, but you statutorily mandate that the employee contribute 5% of their own salary towards it. Why not give the employees the option to participate in the FRS investment plan and have the state do a dollar-for-dollar match up to 4%?
I think it's a good question. I asked that specific question this morning. So I'll figure out the answer. I don't know the answer yet, but I asked that question this morning because because you're right. Because in the private sector, you don't have to do it that way. What I was told this morning, and I'll find out and we'll get back to you, was because of some federal laws, it has to be done this way. But it doesn't make any sense to me, so I'll find out. Because I asked at our staff meeting this morning, I asked the exact same question.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Governor, Florida, I support your position on the jobs, by the way, and Florida has the lowest per capita tax rate anywhere in the southeast and among the 30 largest states. And the tax foundation has rated us as having the 5th best tax position when it comes to business anywhere in the country, with South Dakota and Wyoming being 2 of the other states, and the best in the southeast and the best among the 30 largest states. Yet we have the highest unemployment of any state in the southeast and of any of the 30 largest states. How do you reconcile your policy about cutting state employees, state benefits, and taxes in light of the fact that states that have the highest tax burden, like New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Maryland, the top 5, all have much lower unemployment rates than we do? What type of commitment can you make to our infrastructure here in Florida?
Well, let's go through it. Clearly, taxes have an impact. And what we did is we built our economy around construction. That's what our economy was built around. We didn't focus on, if you go look at the perception of Florida right now, we've not been a state that likes business people, right? If you have a choice, if you want to build the same project in Florida or build a project in Texas, because if you look at the job created in the last 10 years, it's been Texas. I mean, it's not another state, it's been Texas. So if you look at how long it takes us to get our approvals to do things for a business person versus somebody in Texas, it's night and day. And they don't know in our state, people don't know, what the process is, how long it's going to take, or if they're going to get things approved. You have real estate developments in this state that have been extremely successful, but cannot grow. If they buy more land, they can't afford to buy more land because all their permitting gets reviewed again of all their existing land. If you look at, I'll give you an example. Down in where I used to live in Naples, Auditorium University had to get, I think it was 75 permits just for the land. Now, some of those were federal, but a lot of those were state and local, county, city, things like that. I mean, think about it. If you don't have money, how do you get started? But if you look historically and look at the numbers, the states with the lowest taxes grow the fastest. It's clear. States that are a right to work state grow the fastest. It's absolutely clear. Those are the things that have an impact. So now, the separate issue, so that my focus is on, we're going to make it very difficult for somebody to say that they want to do business in another state based on that. Now, we've got some other inherent advantages. We've got better weather. We've got our beaches. And the other thing that we have going for us that we have to take advantage of is the expansion of the Panama Canal and the expansion of the economies in Central and South America. So that's the way I think about it on that side. Now, we have to also make sure we treat taxpayers and government workers fairly, both. Now, if you're in the private sector, right, a lot of people, I know that in state government there's not been a lot of raises, right? And I know that's a problem for some people. The flip side is there's 1.1 million Floridians that not only don't have a raise, they don't have a job. And if you look at the private sector, wages are going down. They're not staying flat. If you look at one thing the internet's done, because now if you start a private company today, what you can do, which is going on all the time, you don't have to tell people what you're going to have to pay them. One thing you can do is say, who wants a job and how much are you willing to work for? That also is driving down wages. Now, if you go look at the private sector and look at their fringe benefits versus people that work for the government, it's night and day difference. There was a study that just came out last week that the spread between what the average state worker in Florida makes versus the private sector, it's $9,000 more. Doesn't mean the study's right. There's so many studies that come out there. But if you just think about it, on the private side, if you're a taxpayer, almost no taxpayer has a pension plan anymore. Very few. Because the private companies couldn't compete. Because if you think about what 95% of Americans, as an example, shop at Walmart a year, at least once a year. When those Americans go shop there, they don't say, gosh, I'm going to pay for them more for that product because they have the best pension plan, or the best health care insurance, or the nicest boss. They go based on price. So if you think about what we've all done is, as taxpayers and as consumers, we go to price. So taxpayers, on that side, they don't have pension plans anymore because the companies don't. If they have a 401k plan, many employers don't contribute. It's simply a plan that you can contribute yourself. So what I'm trying to do is be fair to taxpayers and also make sure that you have a pension plan that's viable. Right now, the pension plan's underfunded. I got a study the other day, I think this will be off, but I think there was like 70 cities and counties in this state that have pension plans that are 35+% underfunded, with an assumption that these plans are going to make 7+% return forever. Any of you that are investors, think about the last 10 years. Have you made year after year after year, every year, more than 7% on your money? It's not easy. So I think that's hard. So my job as governor is to try to set priorities on where we spend our money, and it's a big budget. It's a lot. It's $70 billion going to 65. Be fair to taxpayers and make sure I'm fair to government workers. So, and I'm sure that depending on where you sit in the spectrum, some people think it's fair and some people think it's unfair. But it's the decision. It's what I believe is the right thing for our state. What else? He asked me a short question. I give you a long answer. All right. Well, I want to finish by thanking each of you for all your hard work. I know you're working very hard, and I appreciate it. And so does Jennifer. And I look forward to a lot of great projects over the next few years. Thanks a lot.